everybody, this is your blood host Nikhil Balasubramaniyam, and today I'm going to be talking about the science behind Beyblades. So, a Beyblade rotates on its own axis, which is the tip touching the stadium. So this rotation is actually very different from the straight line motion. This rotation means when the Beyblade's points all move in a circle. So the faster the rotation is, the more stored motion there is. So an easier way to explain this is, when you launch a Beyblade, you do not push the Beyblade forward. Instead, you make it rotate on its own. Angular momentum. Angular momentum is a spin energy that wants to spin continuously. When a Beyblade spins, it does not want to stop spinning and fall. When the Beyblade spins, it resists changes. If the Beyblade spins very fast, the resistance is even stronger. So, a simple analogy that you could use to understand this: when a bicycle is going slow, it becomes unstable. But then when the bicycle goes fast, it becomes stable because it can go fast. And the same analogy applies in Beyblade. So the Beyblade stays stable not because of its balance, it's because it's going fast. Gyroscopic stability. A Beyblade actually behaves like a gyroscope. So what happens when another Beyblade hits another Beyblade? When another Beyblade hits another Beyblade, the Beyblade won't, because of the force, the Beyblade won't get knocked out. Instead, the force will be directed to another direction, because the Beyblade spin makes the force change direction. To put it simply, when an object pushes a Beyblade, because of the spin, the force will get directed into another direction. So this is why a Beyblade can survive attacks. The center of the mass is the average position of all the masses in the Beyblade. If the center mass is centered, then the Beyblade will spin correctly. But then if it's off-center, it will wobble. A good Beyblade keeps the mass towards the center and low. Center of mass makes the Beyblade harder to tip over. Balance in Beyblade is not about standing still. It's about where the weight is placed. Let's talk about the weight distribution between the three types of Beyblade. So the first step is attack. The weight is distributed towards the edges of the Beyblade, making the hits more harder and a lot of transfer of energy. So the physics used here is, the more the distance from the center, the harder the hits. Now it's about defense type. It's heavier overall, it has a round shape, and it absorbs the impact. So the physics used here is, more the mass, the more harder to move. Now it's about stamina type. The stamina type is smooth and balanced, less friction, and loses the energy slowly. So the physics behind here is, less friction, the longer it spins. So now I'm going to be talking about friction, the enemy of spin. So what friction does is, it converts spin energy into heat, it slows down the rotation and makes the Beyblade wobble. So how does friction come? When the tip is touching the stadium, or because of air resistance, or when collisions happen with another Beyblade. So why is a tip design so important? If the tip is very sharp, so meaning there's less friction, so the Beyblade can run smooth. But then if it's flat, it can cause more friction, so the Beyblade can move rough. So every Beyblade loses to friction, but not because it wants to. What happens during collisions? Let's see what happens. So during collisions, the energy is transferred from one Beyblade to another. The direction of spin is very needed, and the speed changes drastically. So the outcomes of this is, one Beyblade can gain speed, one may lose balance, and one can get knocked out. So the physics rule here is, energy can get transferred, not destroyed. Energy loss. Why must every battle end? Let's talk about this. So the energy starts when you launch a Bey. Then the energy slowly decreases because of air resistance, friction, and hits. As it slowly decreases, your spin will lose the angular momentum will decrease, the stability is lost, and the Beyblade will fall. This is unavoidable physics. Now let's recap on what we learned today. So when a Beyblade spins, it's angular momentum created. So when angular momentum is created, it gives stability to the Beyblade. So balance is all about center mass, and the battles are decided by force and energy transfer. So because of friction, every Beyblade can lose a spin. When a Beyblade wins, it's not about luck. It's about pure physics in action. And this is your blood host Nikhil Bala signing off.